promises to close the budget gap without implementing any new taxes. Here to talk about that is Tammy Gamerman. She is the Senior Research Associate for the Citizens Budget Commission. Tammy, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
That no new taxes thing is just a little bit on the sketchy side since the governor just got through the legislature last month. A pretty substantial new tax, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So today's budget proposal was actually very simple and straightforward, and one of the reasons was because this past December the state had reformed the New York State income tax code, which included an increase on the highest income earners, those earning over $1 million a year, and that brought in an additional $1.5 billion for next year. Which
does help close the budget gap considerably, right? And in fact, the budget is, for the second year in a row, the budget is down slightly. It's a tiny bit, but it's still down slightly, which is contrary to the trend of the history of New York State. Usually the budget has grown by double or triple the inflation rate, but for the last 2 years under Cuomo, he's proposing a budget that actually is declining.
Yes, that's correct. This budget really shows Governor Cuomo's commitment to fiscal discipline in the long term. As you said, this is now the second year of a year-to-year decline in state spending. The budget would hold the line flat on state agency spending while putting forth new ideas to improve the effectiveness of state spending. Even more remarkably, this budget does not include any fiscal gimmicks, which include things like state asset sales or borrowing schemes. These have been common practice in Albany.
Oh, very common, sure. The gimmickry and stuff to avoid having to make the tough choices. The budget also, is the gap, I've read two figures on the gap. One said the budget gap he was closing was $2 billion. Another figure is $3.5 billion. Which is it?
Right, so the budget gap was $3.5 billion. That was brought down to $2 billion because of the $1.5 billion that came from the increase in income taxes on high-income earners.
So is the consolidation of agencies he's proposing and the various trims he's proposing really capable of closing that $2 billion remaining gap?
Yes, I believe he is serious. He put forth a number of proposals, including consolidations, things like consolidating IT and procurement services, which could result in real savings for the state government for the long term.
One of the things he also proposed was a new tier for pensions, much less generous pensions for new hires. Is that going to fly?
Well, it remains to be seen if it will actually be passed, but it's a very innovative proposal that he put forward. So this would, for the first time ever, give new employees the option of enrolling in a 401k style plan. This compares to traditional state pension benefits, which are defined benefit and which require 10 years to vest in. In comparison, a new employee would be able to choose to enroll in a 401k style plan in which they would vest in the first year, and then they could transport that to any future jobs.
He also threw down the gauntlet of the teachers unions, saying they better get on the stick and come up with a way to evaluate teachers because there's $700 million in federal aid on the line here if we don't get that done. And if they don't do it, he says he's going to oppose one.
Yes, that's correct. So the budget that he laid out includes an $800 million increase in school aid for next year. And if we don't get that $700 million from the federal government, that increase is going to fall to $100 million.
Okay, Tammy, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
New Jersey Assembly Republicans